I'm Olivia. Standing in the living room of my so-called family, I could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. My father, Henry, was sitting on the couch, his face pale. My stepmother, Vera, was on her feet, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief. My siblings, Leo and Lily, were looking at me, their expressions a mix of confusion and greed. A lawyer named Miss Harper, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, stood beside me, holding a folder. I took a deep breath and began to speak. I learned that I'm not adopted. My real mother, Amelia, died in a car accident when I was 3. Vera, you convinced my father to give me up for adoption, and the only reason they didn't was because Grandma Rose threatened to fight for my custody. Vera's face went white as a sheet. That's not true. She stammered. It's impossible. I ignored her and continued. Grandma Rose left me her entire estate, the house, the investments, and $2,100,000 in cash. The silence that followed was deafening. Henry's voice cracked as he said, "There must be some mistake. She promised us the estate would be divided equally among all the grandchildren." I looked at him coldly. She lied. Just like you lied to me for 23 years. Lily found her voice first. Wait, what about us? What do we get? Ms. Harper consulted her papers. You and Leo each receive $5,000. $5,000? Leo exploded. That's it? What about the house? What about all her money? Ms. Harper said calmly, "It all goes to Olivia." Vera stood up abruptly. "This is ridiculous. We'll contest the will. Olivia has no right to any of this money. We're the ones who took care of Rose. We're the ones who visited her, who helped her when she was sick." Ms. Harper replied, "Actually, Mrs. Rose documented quite extensively that you prevented Olivia from visiting her. She also documented that your visits usually involved asking for money. You can contest the will if you like, but I should warn you that the will is ironclad, witnessed by multiple parties, and she was evaluated by 2 separate psychiatrists who confirmed her mental competency. A contest would be expensive and futile." Henry slumped back in his chair. "Olivia, you have to understand. We never meant for things to go this way." I looked at him with disgust. "Didn't you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you got exactly what you wanted. You got rid of the inconvenient reminder of your first wife. You got to play happy family with your new kids. The only thing you didn't count on was Grandma Rose seeing through your act." Vera said desperately, "We raised you. We fed you, clothed you, gave you a roof over your head. Doesn't that count for something?" I replied, "You did the bare minimum required by law. And you made sure I knew every single day that I was unwanted." I then turned to Henry. "The new luxury car, the pool renovation, Leo's jet ski. How much did you spend thinking you'd inherit Grandma's money?" Henry couldn't meet my eyes. "About $250,000, Vera whispered. I stood up. "Well, I guess you'll have to figure it out. You're so good at telling me to figure things out." As Ms. Harper and I headed toward the door, Lily's voice stopped us. "Olivia, wait. You're not really going to take everything, are you? I mean, we're still family." I turned back to look at her. Sweet Lily, who had never once stood up for me when Vera was tearing me down. Lily, who had gotten a brand new designer wardrobe for her 18th birthday while I was working nights at a diner to pay for my community college books. "Family?" I said. "You mean like how you included me in family trips? Oh wait, you didn't. Or like how you stood up for me when Vera told everyone I was adopted. No, you didn't do that either. The money is helping me because I'm the one Grandma Rose wanted to help. You want money? Get jobs. Take out loans. Figure it out." As we reached the door, Vera called out one last time. Olivia, please. We make mistakes, but we're still your parents. Doesn't that mean anything? I paused with my hand on the doorknob. Henry is my father. Amelia was my mother. You're just the woman who married my dad and spent 23 years making me wish I'd never been born. We left them there, surrounded by all the things they'd bought with money they never actually had, facing the reality that their lies had finally caught up with them. Let me rewind to how all of this started. It was a Wednesday morning. I was having toast and coffee before my shift at the flower shop. My phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Unknown numbers usually meant debt collectors or telemarketers, and I had enough problems without dealing with either. But something made me pick up on the fourth ring. Is this Olivia Thompson? The voice was professional and formal. Yeah, that's me, I replied. Ms. Thompson, this is Ms. Harper from Harper and Associates. I'm calling regarding the estate of Rose Thompson. I believe she was your grandmother. My toast slipped from my hand and landed on the plate with a clatter. Grandma Rose had passed away 8 months ago, and I hadn't been allowed at the funeral. My parents, Henry and Vera, had made it clear that I wasn't welcome. Yes, she was my grandmother, I said carefully. I need to schedule a meeting with you, Miss Thompson. There are some matters regarding her that require your immediate attention. I thought there must be some mistake. My parents told me I wasn't included in her will. They said she left everything to them and my siblings. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Ms. Thompson, I think we definitely need to meet. Are you available this afternoon? 2 hours later, I was sitting in a leather chair in Ms. Harper's law office, staring at documents that made no sense. According to the papers in front of me, my grandmother had left me $2,100,000, her beautiful Victorian house, and several investment accounts. There must be some mistake, I repeated for the third time. My parents said I was adopted. They said Grandma Rose wasn't really my grandmother, that she had no obligation to me. Ms. Harper, with kind eyes behind thick-rimmed glasses, looked at me with what might have been pity. Ms. Thompson, your grandmother was very specific in her instructions. She wanted me to give you this letter personally. She handed me an envelope with my name written in Grandma Rose's careful handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. My dearest Olivia, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and Ms. Harper has finally been able to reach you. I've been trying to see you for the past 5 years, but your parents have made that impossible. I need you to know the truth about everything because the lies your parents have told you are cruel and completely false. You are not adopted. You are my biological granddaughter, the daughter of my beloved daughter Amelia. Amelia was your father Henry's first wife, and she died in a car accident when you were 3 years old. Henry remarried Vera 8 months later, and Vera never wanted to acknowledge that you existed. She wanted Henry to give you up for adoption so they could start fresh with their own children. Henry, to his shame, went along with this plan. But I fought for you, Olivia. I threatened to take them to court for custody. I told them I would expose what they were trying to do to the whole family, the whole community. They kept you, but only because I forced their hand. Vera has resented you ever since. She's the one who told you that you were adopted, who convinced Henry to treat you differently from Leo and Lily. Every cruel word, every time they excluded you, every time they made you feel like you didn't belong, that was Vera's doing and Henry's cowardice in going along with it. I tried to maintain a relationship with you, but Vera made it increasingly difficult. She would cancel visits, refuse to let you answer my calls, and eventually they moved you all across the state specifically to keep you away from me. The last time I saw you, you were 17 years old. I've missed 6 years of your life because of their selfishness. I'm leaving you everything, Olivia, not just because you're my granddaughter, but because you're the only one in this family who has faced hardship with dignity. I know about the community college, the jobs at the flower shop, the tiny apartment you can barely afford. I know because I hired a private investigator to keep track of you when your parents wouldn't let me see you. I also know that Henry and Vera have been telling people that my estate will be divided equally among all the grandchildren. They've been spending money they don't have, expecting a big inheritance. They're going to be very surprised. I hope this money gives you the freedom to build the life you deserve. But more than that, I hope this letter gives you the truth you've always deserved to know. You are loved. You are wanted. You always have been. All my love, Grandma Rose. P.S. The house keys are in the safe deposit box. I hope you'll consider living there. It's been waiting for you. I read the letter 3 times before the words really sank in. Not adopted. My mother, my real mother, had died when I was 3. Vera wasn't my mother at all, just a woman who had married my father and spent the next 23 years making me feel like an unwanted burden. Ms. Harper said gently, the private investigator she mentioned, he documented quite a bit about your living situation. Your grandmother was very concerned about how you were being treated. She handed me another folder. Inside were photographs and reports spanning several years. Pictures of me walking to the flower shop in the rain, living in my tiny studio apartment with peeling paint, eating instant noodles for dinner. My grandmother had been watching over me from afar, caring about me when my own father couldn't be bothered. I asked, what did my parents think they were inheriting? Ms. Harper smiled grimly. Your grandmother led them to believe they would receive the bulk of her estate. She'd encouraged this belief. She wanted them to spend money they didn't have, thinking they'd be able to pay it back with their inheritance. How much money did they spend? I asked. Based on what your grandmother told me and what the investigator observed, quite a lot. Your father bought a new luxury car last year for $120,000. Your step-mother renovated the pool for $80,000. Your brother Leo got a jet ski for his birthday, which cost $50,000. I thought about my own life during that same period. Working 45 hours a week at the flower shop, taking night classes at community college, living on rice and beans. While my family was spending my grandmother's money before they even had it, I was struggling to pay for basic necessities. I asked, what exactly did they inherit? Ms. Harper consulted her papers. Each of your siblings received $5,000. Your parents received nothing. Your grandmother was very clear that Henry had forfeited his right to inherit when he chose his new wife over his own daughter. I sat back in my chair, trying to process everything. $2,100,000, a house, the truth about my identity, and my family who had treated me like garbage for 23 years had been cut out entirely. Ms. Harper said, your grandmother requested that I be present when you inform your family about the inheritance. She wanted a witness to their reaction. That's how I found myself driving to my parents' house the next evening with a lawyer in my passenger seat and a cashier's check for $2,100,000 in my purse. I hadn't been to the house in over a year, not since my father told me I was too old to be looking for handouts when I asked to borrow money for a new laptop. The house looked the same from the outside, an upper-middle-class suburban dream with a new luxury car in the driveway and a perfectly manicured lawn. Vera answered the door, and her expression immediately soured when she saw me. Olivia, what are you doing here? We need to talk, I said. All of us. It's about Grandma Rose's will. Her expression shifted to something calculating. Oh, well, I suppose you should come in. She led us into the living room, where my father was watching a football game on TV and my siblings were on their phones. The room had been redecorated since my last visit. New furniture, new carpets, new expensive-looking paintings on the walls. Henry, Vera called, Olivia's here about Rose's will. My father looked up, and I could see the exact moment he noticed Ms. Harper in her professional suit carrying a briefcase. Who's this? He asked. Ms. Harper, she said, extending her hand. I was Mrs. Rose Thompson's attorney. Everyone suddenly paid attention. Leo put down his phone. Lily looked up from her TikTok. Vera sat down quickly, smoothing her hair. Well, my father said, forcing a smile, I guess it's time to sort out Mom's affairs. I appreciate you coming all the way out here. Actually, Miss Harper said, I'm here for Olivia. The room went quiet. I don't understand, Vera said slowly. Ms. Harper opened her briefcase and pulled out a folder. I'm here to inform Olivia about her inheritance from Rose Thompson's estate. Her inheritance? My father's voice cracked slightly. There must be some mistake. Olivia isn't. I mean, she wasn't really. Ms. Harper's voice was ice cold. She wasn't really what, Mr. Thompson? Vera said quickly, she's adopted. Rose wasn't her real grandmother. She had no obligation to leave her anything. Ms. Harper turned to me. Olivia, would you like to tell them what you learned yesterday or shall I? And that's how I ended up standing in the living room, exposing the lies and reclaiming my rightful inheritance. 6 months later, I moved into Grandma Rose's house. It's a beautiful Victorian home with 4 bedrooms, a large kitchen, and a garden that she maintained herself until the very end. I found photos there that I'd never seen before. Pictures of me as a baby with my real mother, family picnics where I looked happy and loved, evidence of the life I might have had if Amelia had lived. I also found more letters from Grandma Rose, written but never sent, documenting years of trying to maintain contact with me. Birthday cards she bought but wasn't allowed to give me. Christmas presents that were returned unopened. I finished my degree in business administration with a focus on finance. With my grandmother's money properly invested, I didn't have to work, but I do anyway. I started a non-profit organization that helps girls who age out of foster care. Girls who know what it's like to feel unwanted and alone. My father has called me exactly once since that day at Miss Harper's office. He asked if I would consider helping them avoid foreclosure on their house. I told him to contact my lawyer if he wanted to discuss anything financial. Vera sends me Christmas cards every year with notes about family forgiveness and moving forward. I throw them away unopened. Leo lost the jet ski, couldn't make the payments without the inheritance he was counting on. Lily had to get a job to help her parents pay their bills. They learned what I'd always known, that money doesn't just appear because you want it to, and that actions have consequences. But the best part isn't the money, as life-changing as it's been. The best part is the truth. For the first time in my life, I know who I really am. I know that I was loved unconditionally by at least one person. I know that my real mother didn't abandon me, she was taken from me. I know that the feeling of never quite belonging wasn't my fault. Sometimes I sit in Grandma Rose's garden, reading her letters and looking through old photo albums, and I feel her presence. I feel the love she wasn't allowed to give me while she was alive. The relationship we were cheated out of by my father's coldness and Vera's cruelty. I wish I could thank her in person. I wish I could tell her that her final gift wasn't just the money. It was the truth. And the truth, it turns out, is worth more than $2,100,000. Though the $2,100,000 doesn't hurt either.